Hello and welcome back. Today we're going to be doing Warhammer Fantasy Battle 3rd Edition battle replay set in the map campaign that is listed in a previous video with rules and a link to a Dropbox for all the files you need. The battle takes place in Troll Country. The map section has no terrain, so the battlefield table should have as little terrain as possible. During the campaign, 4 armies came together to fight a major battle, so we're going to recreate that on the tabletop. I'm going to speed this up and show you how the campaign works. You can see the different moves that took place: forced marches, battles, skirmishes, falling back, troops betraying one another, allies falling apart, allies coming together. For the most part, there's 2 Empire players cooperating, and Dark Elf and Chaos loosely cooperating, and the Goblins refusing to cooperate with anyone. And they're in their own little world down there fighting against the Dwarves. In the campaign, you can raise money, you can gain experience, your armies grow over time. So eventually it led to this, which is a big showdown in the Troll Country, and the map campaign shows you what's going to take place in that particular battlefield. So let's look at the armies here. 1,625 points of Empire. This is the main army for this side. We got 30 soldiers with pike, 15 crossbowmen, some light cavalry with crossbows, halberdiers, 32 strong, large unit of knightly orders fully kitted out with lance. The allies consist of Templars, fully kitted out. They have the Dread banner, so this unit causes fear, and the level 20 leader with them. Their mercenaries are Old World mercenaries, level 20 mercenary leader, some foresters, some elite pikemen, and some Escalation cavalry, which are medium cavalry, heavy armored lance, no barding, no shield. Chaos, 1,125 points here. At this point level, you can't get a lot. So we're going to take some thug cavalry, some thugs with bows, some thugs with two-handed weapons, and some thugs with hand weapon and shield, and a magic user. That is going to be kind of a wild card during the battle. We'll see how he does. The Dark Elves are coming in with 1,200 points using the allied list. So they're going to bring 3 units of 12 crossbowmen, pretty good missile troops, some witches, some soldiers with two-handed weapons, level 20 leader with a two-handed weapon. Their mercenary force is 500 points of ogres. You don't have to take the mercenary commander. If you only take 1 unit of the mercenaries, the unit champion can be the commander. Looking at this, the Empire clearly has advantages in cavalry and infantry, and they're very much better armor. Chaos has monstrous magic missiles, a lot of the intangibles. We'll have to see how that works out. Keeping in the spirit of the Troll Country with its minimal terrain, we're going to put a couple forests on the one side, just so it's not completely bare. A little bit of ruins on that side. There's, for the most part, it does look fairly featureless. Now, since the Empire took some mercenaries, we're going to have a baggage camp which contains some scribes, civilians, and things like that. It'll be placed along the table edge because it has to be protected. Chaos has mercenaries as well, so their baggage camp is positioned there. Their baggage camp is a little rougher. They just brought the bare essentials, gallows, and a rack for torturing people. That's, I guess, what they need to travel on. You deploy slowest troop first. Empire won the die roll to deploy first. Their slowest troop goes first, which is the mercenary commander. He's got heavy armor, so he drops except 3.5 inches movement. So that was a bit of a mistake. 3.5 inches of movement for these guys with hand weapon and shield. So here's the first deployment drop. That mercenary commander all by himself, and the unit of Chaos thugs back there protecting the baggage camp. Amendment 4, Empire drops first. That's the majority of their infantry. We have 32 halberdiers on the left, archer wedge or crossbowmen in the middle, 30 pikemen there, and the elite mercenaries are placed there. This is a bit of a mistake. Over here you have the foresters, which are part of the same mercenary contingent, including the mercenary commander, but you can see that he's too far away to influence the pikemen. During the battle he tries to join them, and he's never able to catch up. This is move 4 and 5 for the Chaos side. There is no move 5 for the Empire, so the Chaos just drop their 4s and 5s at once. 3 crossbow units in wedge formation, which is in the center. We have the thugs with longbows there, and the thugs with two-handed weapons on that side. In the rear, in a reserve, we have the Dark Elves with two-handed weapons. Movement 6 drops next. Templars with the Allied commander will drop there. Knightly Orders will drop over here. These are saving throw of 2 knights, and there's a lot of them, 24 of them. So actually 23, but the Templars are on the left, and the Knightly Orders are on the right. They should be able to deal with any flanking threats, such as if the ogres are positioned over here, they can race out around the ruins and smash the whole line down. So it's important to place this, and it's interesting the way that the deployment orders go. The next to drop would be the Chaos 6-inch movement, which is the ogres, and they drop there. They're going to deploy back there to protect the archers and create a bit of a line there. Movement 7 is the Escalation medium cavalry lancers. They're going to drop out there beside their foresters, and the crossbow troops for the Empire drop here. This was a slight error. The Chaos cavalry should have went before these guys because they're slightly slower with a 7.5-inch movement. So the Chaos should have went between these 2 units. So this is the last unit that we deployed, the Chaos Thug Cavalry. You have to stay 12 inches away from the table edge when you deploy, so they had to deploy in a long line over there to squeeze themselves in so they can go around that woods. Now they can advance and go around in through the gap or go around both woods. So here we go, turn 1, let's see how we do. Empire just moves out pretty smartly with the movement phase. And this unit of halberdiers is already pivoting to the left to deal with the threat from the ogres and the thug cavalry that might come through the woods over there. The archers abandon their wedge and move forward to keep pace with the infantry. They're not going to have much to shoot at right now, so they're just going to move a little bit before they set up the fire. This is the reserve phase. Everybody just continues their advance. The cavalry is moving forward to bolster the infantry. Chaos takes their first turn. They hold in the center and advance on both wings. The ogres come out to play, and the thug cavalry races through the gap, the first gap they come through in the forest. So they're going to be engaged pretty quickly. The archers let loose a volley, concentrating on the Empire crossbowmen. If they can cause a panic, they can flee. They can eliminate several units at once. And they do inflict enough casualties to cause a panic on that unit, but it passes and holds firm. They also take out one of the Templars. In the reserve phase, they continue to close in. And in the magic phase, this gentleman does nothing. He doesn't have a very good list of spells to use, and for some reason, everybody makes their save. Empire turn 2. We're going to see some action right away. There's a couple of charges that go in. The cavalry on the left charges the ogres and the thug cavalry. So over here, you may wonder why they charge. They're going to benefit from charging, so they're better off charging than being charged. Over here, with the Dread Banner, that unit causes fear, so they're perfect to go up against the ogres who cause fear, but it's still going to be a pretty tough fight for them because that is a tough unit of ogres. So this is what kind of it looks like from the side of the Empire. Over here, the Order Knights are moving to bolster the center of the line, and the mercenary commander is still trying to catch up to his troops. He decided to leave the foresters and join the pikemen. It was really kind of a mistake to put this guy over there, but during the deployment he had to go down first, so he had the least ability to see. So in the combat section here, we had a guy get shot on the right side for the Chaos, but over here the ogres and the knights traded blows, and the ogres lost the combat and they fell back, and mercenaries can desert. So taking a test, the Templars didn't follow up. They needed to roll a 6 because they had no beneficial modifiers, and they rolled a 6, and they convinced the ogres to desert. So just like that, one of the most powerful units on the Chaos side is gone. Mercenaries are very untrustworthy in this game. There's also a mercenary loyalty roll, but the ogres did pass that, but then they were convinced of results. So you can see that the Templars have a complete shot into the flank there. Reserve phase troops continue to move up. The knightly orders are switching over. So this is Chaos turn 2. They're going to have to do something here. And they don't have a whole lot of movement to do, because they want to just stand back and continue to fire. But this unit of Dark Elves is positioning towards the gap in the lines. The Witch Elves are going to come forward to mix it up. And the thugs over there with two-handed weapons are going to have a go at those 2 units of mercenaries. And that's it's going to be pretty tough for them. That's 2 tough units of mercenaries. So here's the shooting, and the Dark Elves just unleashed it. They brought it and just decimated that unit of halberdiers and put a hurting on the unit of pikemen. Not enough pikemen were lost to trigger a panic test, but the halberdiers had lost just enough to do that. The fighting got pretty serious with these 2 units. In the first round, no one died, so it was just a standoff. These guys are decimated from bowfire, and they're going to have to take a panic test. So this is where we're going to be at. The halberdiers failed their panic test, and the mounted crossbowmen failed their break test. Both of them are running for it. The Templars pass their break test, or panic test, and they hold steady, but there's 2 units fleeing. Once again, the magic user fails to do anything. He has not proven his worth. He's going to wind up on the rack here after the battle. So here we go. Empire's got to do something about these guys that are fleeing. They're bringing over the knightly orders with the general to sort of cheer some guys up. The Templars find themselves with routing unit within 4 inches at the beginning of the turn, and they have to take a panic test, and they fail. So now there are 3 units left. The entire left flank of the Empire just simply collapsed because of just terrible, terrible morale checks. Over here, both units go in to attack the thugs. Even the foresters who have bows, they're still, adding some weight to the fight. Up here, they're going to keep advancing their infantry. And the knightly orders has to get over here and do something to rally some of these troops that are fleeing before they get off the table. You have to have a friendly troop nearer than an enemy troop in order to rally. And in this case, those 3 guys are headed off the table. Those thugs back there can keep up to them. In fact, the thugs are closer to the fleeing mounted crossbowmen. They're not able to rally. They're not going to be able to rally. The generals are not going to be able to get over there on time. So let's see what happens. Here we got some shooting. The crossbowmen take out 2 witch elves. The fight on the right is pretty vicious. That charge was very effective. They pulverized those thugs, but the thugs passed their break test and stood firm. In the rally phase, the knightly orders came close enough to rally the Templars, but the mounted crossbowmen are too far away, and the halberdiers failed. That unit is freshly painted, and they are not making a good impression. That is no way to behave on your first day out. So let's see what happens here as we head into Chaos turn 3. Things are progressing quickly here, so this is the beginning of Chaos turn 3. Not sure what they can do, but the Thug Cavalry has a choice. They're unformed because of their combat, so they're just going to form up. The Witch Elves go in, and the crossbowmen, Empire crossbowmen, stand and fire and take out a couple. But the shooting from the Dark Elves is pretty effective here. They take out 2 of the Knights, which is really, that's some good shooting there, and they take out a couple more of the pikemen from that unit. Then the Witch Elves crunch into those guys, killing 5 of those crossbowmen, just butchering them. But they pass their break test and they hold up. The fight on the right is getting real ugly. So this is what it kind of looks like. The pikemen are getting whittled down, but they're keeping up the pace and they're marching in. This is the fight on the right side of the map as you're looking at it, and that's just nasty over there. They're just taking each other out. So let's look at Empire turn 4. The Empire moves forward and attacks as best they can. The mounted crossbowmen are off the table. Halberdiers continue to flee. They're fleeing now past the baggage camp. Up here, they get a couple guys get shot on the way in from stand-in fire from the Dark Elf crossbowmen. The fight over here goes pretty good for the Templars. They no longer have their dread banner because you lose any banners when you flee, so they lost their banner, but they do manage to inflict 2 casualties and break the thug cavalry and send them fleeing. In the center, the pikemen roll horribly bad, don't do anything, and actually get their butt kicked by some lousy Dark Elf crossbowmen. How embarrassing. The elite mercenary crossbowmen do a lot better, putting a hurting on the thugs, but the thugs pass their break test and they hold firm. So these are the losses for this particular turn in close combat, and it's going to be a pretty bloody battle, but consistently Chaos is making their break tests and the Empire is failing them. Panic tests and break tests. As you can see, the Halberdiers are on their way off the table, waving to the civilians in the baggage camp as it goes. So that's the way it looks. Chaos turn 4. Let's see what happens. So what's this? The Witch Elves hit the flank of the Order Knights. The Thug Cavalry is going to run off the table. They're too far away from any friendly units to even rally. This is what that looks like. And the Witch Elves rolled and went frenzy, so they're never going to break. The Knights are going to be stuck there forever. In this instance, the fight goes against the pikemen, and they fall back. And in this case, the Chaos has a leader there. They don't follow up, and they offer terms, but the mercenaries refuse to take it. The other unit of Empire soldier with the pikes is hit in the flank by the Dark Elves with 2-handed weapons and butchered. They are just making a valiant stand. They do not break. They pass their break test, and they're standing there fighting to the last man, but they're going to be wiped out. So this is sort of the way the battlefield looks as the Dark Elf crossbowmen just form up and begin moving ahead. So at this point, the game is over. Because it's a campaign game, the characters have to get off the table. You can see the reserve phase there. So the Empire surrenders. They're going to withdraw the Templar Knights. They're going to run their cavalry with their characters off the table and save them for another day, leave their infantry to be massacred. A couple of thoughts on the battle. It was interesting that there were some assets that did not pay for themselves at all. The knightly orders never got into battle. They just simply reacted to events instead of acting. The ogres walked off the field. You know, they were just bribed and walked off the field. That was kind of a bad thing. The Chaos Wizard did absolutely nothing. I'm sure he's spending time on the rack. So it was sort of interesting. I think the battle swayed back and forth, but ultimately what it came down to was the Empire just rolled terrible when it counted as far as break tests and rally tests. So, all right, hope you enjoyed this. Thank you.